Hi, welcome. This practice is for you if you are a regular runner or doing anything else with your legs like hiking, tennis, biking, all of those things. This practice is designed to help your legs, hips, knees, all of it feel better. My advice to you is to treat yourself with kindness as you go through this practice. Kindness is a quality that we can all use a lot more of, and particularly kindness towards ourselves. It's very easy to get into poses like this and to start to beat yourself up because it hurts or because it's hard to do the poses. And so your invitation today is just be kind to yourself as you move through your practice. Take a moment to close your eyes, either rest your hands in your lap or put your hands on your thighs. Take a full breath in and a full breath all the way out, letting yourself land here. And bring your palms together in front of your heart now. Consider why you want to do some yoga and let that become your intention. So with kindness, you'll practice yoga today, and your intention is whatever it may be. Perhaps it's just extra self-care. With that intention in your heart, take a deep breath in and exhale, bow your head to your heart. Then bring your hands back down and open your eyes. We're going to start with a little love for your feet. So you may notice I'm sitting on a yoga blanket. You might be sitting on anything, cushions, a chair, anything that you might want to sit on. You can sit on extra of those things if you need to. But take your hands to your foot and just give it a little foot rub. And I know for me, this is very easy to sit like this. You don't have to sit like this. Sit in any way that feels comfortable for you. And if it's hard to reach your foot, you might want to sit on a chair for a moment or two to do this. Your feet take a beating, especially if you're putting in miles and miles. And just giving them this little bit of extra love is really a sweet way to say, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be kind to you today. Take your hand to each foot, each toe, and give a little squeeze and pull. Squeeze and pull. You might even twist your toe as you do that. It feels good. I don't even run and it feels good. And then reach around to your heel and give a little squeeze to your heel. And switch sides. Bring your other foot in. Again, start with massage wherever would feel nice. And as I say, your foot is taking a beating every time you're running. Also, our feet have all of these nerve endings in them. They are meant to feel sensation from all of those years before humans wore shoes. So it feels good to your foot, and your foot actually needs a lot of stimulation, physical stimulation. So this is a nice way to do that for yourself kindly. So once again, now take your hand to each toe, give it a twist and a little pull. Twist and pull, squeeze, twist, pull on each toe. It doesn't have to be very long. Squeeze, twist, pull. And once you've finished that, come around to your hands and your knees. If you were sitting on anything, just slide it out of your way for a second. We're going to use blankets or towels in a moment. On hands and knees, walk your knees back a couple of inches and then take your feet out as wide as the mat and lift your hips up. Come into downward facing dog. Be kind to yourself about how your downward facing dog feels. And this one is our tester downward facing dog. So we're getting a sense of how it feels to be in downward facing dog, how your hips feel, your legs, calves, feet, ankles, arms, shoulders, whole body. And in a moment, we're going to do a few things and then try it again and see if it changes. Now bend your knees all the way down to the mat. And we're going to give your feet a little bit more love. Take the top of your right foot into the arch of your left foot. So the top of your right foot settles into the arch of your left foot. Your knees can stay apart. This might be enough, Or walk your hands back if your knees will allow and put some weight down into your feet. You are in charge of how much weight you put into your feet, so feel free to stay up higher if you need to. And then just turn your right foot on your ankle side to side. On the top of your right foot, there's this bone that sticks out. It's called your navicular bone. And it's acting like a little foam roller in your left arch. So it's probably not very comfortable, but it's that hurts so good feeling, hopefully. Do it for a breath or two more. And now come back up to hands and knees and switch sides. Take your right foot under your left foot into the arch of your right foot. Then walk yourself back. You are in charge of how deep you go and how much weight you put into your feet. You can even be off your hands. And then turn your left foot on your ankle. So that it's like you're getting a little bit of a foam roller into the bottom of your right foot. You can change where your left foot is on your right foot if you'd like and get to a different spot that would need a little more attention or not. All right, that's good enough. Come back to hands and knees and then get your blanket or your beach towels. And if it's a yoga blanket, you're going to open it up to about this size. Beach towels, you want to keep them kind of folded so that you can have a little more bulk. Either way, roll it up. You're going to end up with a blanket roll, a little burrito blanket roll. This burrito blanket roll goes to the back of your mat. And you want it to be pretty firm so that you can put your feet on it. Now we're going to come again into downward facing dog. So come to hands and knees. Take your feet out to the edges of your sticky mat. With firm arms, lift your hips up and shift your weight back and then settle your heels into the blanket. So we're taking a little bit of the stretch out of the backs of your legs so that you can actually activate your legs. Make your whole leg firm and then press your leg bones towards the wall behind you. While you keep that, push down through your arms and hands towards the wall ahead of you to lengthen through your spine. Then anchor from your sitting bones down into your heels and through your heels in the blanket down into the floor. Push. Exhale and lower both knees back down again. Now take your knees kind of closer together. We're going to do the similar action that you just did with your feet. Now you're going to do it with your calves. So you take your right shin, and your right shin bone, you know, is pretty sharp. Take that into your left calf. And you're going to play it like a little violin. Go back and forth. As you can see right now, I'm on my hands and my left knee, but you can walk yourself back, put your right knee down, walk yourself back and have more weight bearing while you do this. When I'm here, I'm just shifting my weight side to side. And what happens is the right leg, the one that's on the muscle, is like sawing across your muscle. It's not a pleasant image, but as you can feel, again, it's acting a little bit like a foam roller, creating some squash and some space in there. I'm sliding my right leg down and now come back up to hands and knees. Switch sides. Take your left shin across your right calf. Play it like a violin. Go back and forth. You may stay a little further up or walk yourself further back. You can be as far back as your calf will allow. And of course, this is a pretty deep bend for your knee. So if your knees are not happy in a deep knee bend, don't worry about it. Stay up a little higher. Shift back and forth wherever you are. Send some breath and some kindness to yourself. I know this is very intense, even if we're not for runners, so I'm sure that for runners it's even more intense. And now come back up again, and this time get your rolled up blanket and place it on your calves. You can tuck it up behind your knees. It doesn't have to be super close behind your knees, but place it on your calves and then slowly sit back. Now this is going to keep you out of as deep of a knee bend, but again, you're in charge. You don't have to go into a deep knee bend, or if it's available, sit back, sit back, sit back. If possible, bring your hands onto your thighs. Again, you're in charge of how much weight settles into your blanket, and your blanket's being like a little foam roller again. Not the most comfortable. We wouldn't say massage necessarily, but it is offering that kind of compression. This time as you sit, shift your weight a little bit side to side if possible. And you're getting the massage into your calves and also the backs of your thighs, your hamstring muscles. So opening up both places. One more breath. All right, reach forward, come up, take your blanket away, and look around for your yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks at home, you can do this entire part of the series without yoga blocks. You could try it on 2 tennis balls or put 2 tennis balls in a sock and try it that way, but also just do it without blocks, it's fine. You're going to take your 2 yoga blocks on the floor. I'm going to show you where they're going to go. You're going to put the corner of your yoga block right into kind of the side of your buttocks on either side. So your buttocks are not going to be on the floor. Your bum's going to be up, resting on the yoga block. And once again, we've got kind of this foam roller action happening with your yoga blocks this time. So come down onto your back, bend your knees. Take your blocks to their flat position and then have them slightly angled out to the side. Lift your hips up and slide each block right up under your hips. So the corner of your block comes kind of in towards the middle of your bun, of each bun. And in the middle, the blocks are not touching each other. They are separate. And you just have to find the sweet spot for you. The other thing is the blocks may slide a little bit. I have to hold my blocks sometimes. So we've got this sharp edge of the block that can kind of cut right through your gluteal muscles and create some opening and some space for you. I know this is quite intense again. You're welcome to have a blanket on top of your blocks to soften this if you need to. And again, take the blocks away if it's just too much. Stay right here, or bring your right knee in a little closer to your chest, and that's going to change the angle in your glute muscles, where the block's landing. You can use your hands to support your leg coming in. I'm keeping one hand on my block because it keeps wanting to slide, so you have to adjust for yourself. Then set your right leg down and switch to your left. Bring your left knee in towards your chest. Feel free to use your hands on your leg if you'd like. Let your glutes, your buns, settle down into the block, and that's difficult. Your pelvis may also tip some. Allow your pelvis to tip so that the angle of the block hits a little bit differently into your muscles. Set your left leg back down. Now bring your right leg in, turn it out so your right knee goes out to the right. Cross your right ankle over your left knee, and oh my goodness, now we're getting a different part of your glutes, right? So it sort of slides the muscle out of the way and the block can slide up a little deeper. This is eye of the needle pose. As you can feel, we are opening up what's going on in your glutes. Lift your right knee back to the middle, set your right foot down, switch sides, bring your left knee in towards your chest. Turn your left leg out, cross your left ankle over your right knee, and be an eye of the needle pose. You don't need to lift anything up just yet. Settle your buns down. And you can adjust the angle of your block if you feel like you want a little bit sort of angle to hit the muscle in a slightly different way. Bring your left knee back in, set your left foot down. Last one of these, bring your right knee in, cross your right leg over and your right knee out to the right. You can keep your left foot on the floor or bring your left knee in towards your chest. You might have to hold your blocks so they don't slide away, and even give a little side to side rock, just letting the blocks into the spaces in your muscles. Set your left foot back down, set your right foot back down, switch sides, bring your left knee in towards your chest, cross your left ankle over your right knee, stay there, or bring your right knee in towards your chest. Oof. I'm holding my blocks because otherwise they would fall away. And just maybe a little rock side to side, or stillness might feel better. Sliding my blocks in a little closer, and that's feeling better. So adjust. You'll find your own way, and if you practice this multiple times, you might shift the blocks around each time you do it. Set your right knee back down, right foot back down. Set your left foot back down. Lift your pelvis off your blocks and set it down. Oh man. Notice the shift in your lower body having done that work. It's kind of a strange kindness, I think. Come around again to hands and knees, where it's like it doesn't feel great, but man, when it's done, it feels good, so it feels worth it. All right, on hands and knees, walk your knees back a couple of inches again. Take your feet out as wide as the edges of your mat and lift up and back again to downward facing dog. Reach your heels back and down and just see if it's any different. Oh, it's really different for me, but you see for you. Make your leg muscles firm. Press your thighs back towards the wall behind you. From your pelvis, reach down into your heels, down into the mat. And from your heart, stretch forward through your arms into the floor. Extend your spine. Keep your feet where they are. Slowly walk your hands back towards your feet. Bend your knees as you need to bring your heels down to the mat. Now bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, heart forward, and slowly come back up to standing. Exhale. Does it feel different to be on your legs now? That's what we're looking for out of that kind of myofacial work, hoping to open some things up so it's a little easier to get through the rest of your practice. Now come to a wall or a chair or a couch, whatever you've got. If you don't have anything close by, you can do this with your hands on your knees. I'm going to turn and face this wall. You won't see my hands, but the rest of me you'll be able to see. Place your hands about hip height and about as wide as your shoulders. Put them on the wall and then walk your feet back and stop when your feet land under your hips. Then bend your knees and extend through your spine. So, nice long spine. Make your spine parallel to the floor as best you can. Firm up your legs by squeezing your feet towards each other so it tones your legs, and then roll both inner thighs back so much that your sitting bones start to reach towards the sky. When you do this, you'll get some curve in your lower back, and you'll start to feel some stretch in your hamstrings. And that stretch in your hamstrings will help you out. You know, your runners, you get your really tight hamstrings, so you want to create some length. Stay there with your curvy low back and your legs bent, or slowly stretch your hamstrings straighter, but only if you can keep your low back curved in this way. If your low back rounds and you hunch up, just bend your knees again and stick your buns out. Press your hamstrings really tight to create some more length. Good. Then look up towards your hands and walk yourself back in. It's a great stretch for after any run. You can step away from your wall now and bring your arms by your sides. One of the things that happens when you run is for a lot of folks, there can be some caving in the front of your body, in your chest. So these next actions are to open that up. Take your arms by your sides, stand in Tadasana. Take your hands now in front of you and interlace your fingers. Turn your palms forward, stretch out. Inhale and lift up. So reach down through your legs towards the earth and stretch up through your index finger knuckle towards the ceiling. Make your spine very long. Now release your arms by your sides and take them back behind you. Interlace your fingers behind. If it's difficult to interlace your fingers, just put your hands on your hips. Inhale, lift your shoulders. Exhale, stretch your arms back behind you. Resist the urge to send your rib cage way out. Keep your ribs down. Just move your shoulders back and glide your head back. Now release your arms by your sides again and inhale, sweep them to the sides and overhead. Take hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Give a pull up, then arc over towards the left. Send your hips a little bit to the right in this variation of standing crescent and really pull up and out towards the left through your torso. So the sides of your body can get very tight and we want to open that up. Inhale up, release your hands and switch sides. Take hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Give a lift. Send your hips over and pull with your right hand on your left wrist. Pull over towards the right. Welcome a breath in as you continue to stretch to the right. Good. Inhale back up and exhale. Sweep your arms all the way back down to the sides. Let's do that one more time. Interlace your hands in front of you. Turn your palms forward, press them out. This time, from your heel of your hand to your shoulder, before you take your arms up, pull back. Keep your arms back as you reach them up overhead. Press your arms as straight as you can and draw your rib cage down. Exhale, sweep your arms to the sides, then take them back behind you. Interlace your hands. Inhale, lift your shoulders, move them back. And exhale, press your arms a little straighter without sending your chin forward or your ribs forward. Be right in the middle. Exhaling, release your arms by your sides and inhale, sweep them up again. Clasp your right wrist with your left hand, lift up and arc towards the left. Send your hips to the right and breathe. Notice if your chin is pressed to your chest, lift it up. Inhale up in the middle, flip your hands up, switch sides, clasp your left wrist, lift up, exhale over to the right. Send your hips to the left as you arc your torso to the right. It's not unusual to find that one side is tighter than the other. Just send your breath into it. Inhale back up and exhale, sweep your arms all the way back down. Now step to the top of your mat and bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment to remind yourself of the intention that you started with, and with our bigger intention of being kind to ourselves as we move through now this little bit of flowing part of the practice. Release your arms by your sides and again sweep them overhead. Inhale. Exhale, sweep your heart forward and bow over. Now this is our first deep forward fold. If that's too much, step your feet out wider, bend your knees a bit, take your hands a little further forward onto blocks or the floor. Totally good ways to work with this forward bend. Or if it's available, make your legs straight and bow all the way over. Inhale, stretch your heart halfway forward. Exhaling, step your left leg to the back of the mat into a lunge. Now pay attention in your lunge that your front knee lines up over your front ankle, and that's really good knee health. We want your knees to be strong and stable for a long time. Now put your back knee down on the mat and pushing your front foot down and your back knee down, pull them towards each other until you feel your legs tone, until you feel some strength come into your legs. You may also feel some stretch at the front of your back hip, and that's actually what we're going for in this position. With your left hand down, put your right hand on your right thigh. Pull your navel back and twist towards the right. This may extend even more of that stretch on the front of your back hip. We want that to open up. It's a place that can become very tight. Anything that we do, including running, but really mostly life. It gets tight with life. Good. Push down into both legs, extend your spine even more, and maybe twist a little bit deeper. Then exhale and unwind. Lift your back knee up and step your back foot forward into your standing forward fold again. Inhale, stretch your heart forward. Exhale, step your right leg back into a lunge. Line up your left knee over your left ankle and point your left toes straight ahead. Now bring your right knee down and give a pull between your right knee and your left foot. Watch that your right thigh hasn't become more vertical. That will take you out of the stretch of the pose. So shift your weight forward so your front knee stays over your front ankle and your back thigh's on a diagonal. Lift up your low belly and take your left hand on your left thigh. Then twist to the left. So again, you may be feeling some stretch in the front of your back thigh, and that's really what we're going for. If you're not feeling stretch there, draw your tail down more and your belly up more. And everybody, see if you can twist a little bit deeper. Exhaling, unwind. Place your hands down. Lift your back knee, and this time step back into a plank pose, the top of a push-up. Make your legs really firm, and then lower your knees or keep them off and come down to your belly. Take your hands behind your back and interweave your fingers together like we did standing. And pushing your legs down, lift your shoulders up, and then lift your heart up, keeping your legs down. This is again meant to help open the front of your chest, which can get pretty tight as you swing your arms. Exhale, lower, hands under your shoulders. Curl up your toes and go to downward facing dog. This time your feet might be a little closer together or keep them wide apart. Then look up towards the top of your mat and walk your way back to the top of the mat. You can jump if that's part of how you practice yoga. Just get to the top of your mat and fold over. With strong legs, stretch your heart halfway forward. Exhale and fold. Push your feet into the mat and reach your arms to the sky to come up. Return your palms to your heart. This time you'll step your feet out wide, facing the long edge of your mat. So when you step out wide, bring your ankles under your wrists unless you feel very unstable. And in that case, you just walk your feet in a little closer. Take your hands to your hips. Squeeze your feet towards each other so they get active and steady and stabilizes your leg muscles. Keeping your leg muscles stabilized, tip your pelvis forward towards the long edge of your mat and bring your hands onto the floor. You can also put them on blocks. Squeeze your legs towards each other. This is toning your inner legs. Use your inner legs to spin your inner thighs back and stretch your heart forward. Then exhale and fold over. Again, we're in a hamstring stretch, a forward bend. So temper yourself. You can stay up if you need to or bow over as deeply as possible. If you feel like you have your balance, take your hands to your hips, point your elbows towards the ceiling, and then walk your hands back until they meet each other behind you. Clasp your hands, stretch them up towards the sky, maybe even up and over your head. So you're getting the forward fold and the chest opener at the same time. Good. Push down into your legs really strongly. Push down, push down, push down. Then hands to your hips. Stretch your spine forward. Inhale. Come back up. Whew, that's a good one. Walk your feet slowly back towards each other. Now, if you have yoga blocks, take them and place them by the front of your mat. If you don't have them, you can do this in a different way. You can always have your hands on the floor. Step again to the top of the mat and bring your palms to your heart. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, and release your arms. Inhale, stretch to the sky, and exhale, fold over. Inhale your heart forward. Exhale, and step your left leg back. Come into a lunge. Bring your right knee over your right ankle, and bring your left knee down. Push your front foot down and your back knee down so you tone your leg muscles by pulling your foot and your knee towards each other. Whew. Now bring your hands up to your front thigh. For most people, you'll be sort of hinged way forward. You might have a lot of curve in your low back. Bring your tail down and your belly up, and pushing into your hands, lift your ribs up off your front thigh. Get very tall. Again, you may feel this as stretch at the front of your back hip. Stay exactly like this, or take both arms and reach for the sky. Push down into your legs to lift up through your ribs, through your chest, through your heart, to your fingertips. Exhale, sweep your hands back down. Now you'll grab your blocks or put your hands on the floor if you don't have blocks. I've seen people use water bottles, so use what you've got. And slowly take your left knee back an inch or two, then stretch your right leg straight. If when your right leg comes straight, your left hip is way back behind your knee, just walk your right foot more forward. In this case, you want your left thigh pretty vertical. Push your right foot down into the floor and spread out your right toes. That will activate your leg muscles on the back of your leg. Then lift your right kneecap up, and that'll activate the leg muscles on the top of your leg. Keep pulling your right hip back, your left hip forward. And then inhale and stretch your heart up and forward. You might stay there. If you feel like you have more range in your hamstrings, tip your pelvis over your front leg and bow your torso out over your front leg. You can do that just by lowering your blocks, or take your hands out and forward, even bend your elbows, bow over. From deep in your core, stretch out through your bones. And inhale, slowly come back up. Bend your right knee again. Place your blocks out of your way. And step forward. Lift your back knee, step forward, Uttanasana. Standing forward bend. Feel the difference between your two sides of your body and your legs. Let's get that more even. Inhale, stretch your heart forward. Exhaling, step your right leg back into a lunge. Bring your right knee down and line up your left knee over your left ankle. Push your right knee down, your left foot down, squeeze them towards each other to tone your leg muscles, and then lift up your hands to your front thigh. Draw your tailbone down and your low belly up. Lift your ribs up off your hips. Stay right here, or take your arms up over your ears. You can play with how deep your lunge is. You might lunge a little bit deeper. Keep toning your legs, and now press down from the core of your pelvis down into your left foot and your right knee. And from the core of your pelvis, lift your ribs up, 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 shoulders back, lift up through your chest, your heart, your gaze, and reach your fingertips up. Good. Exhale, reach your hands down to the mat. Grab your blocks if you're using them. Walk your right knee back an inch or two. And stretch your left leg straight. When your left leg goes straight, hinge your hips back slightly so your hip lands right over your right knee, maybe at a little diagonal, but not a huge one. All right, here's the work of your left leg. Lift your toes up off the floor and press your heel down. Imagine you're going to pull your left heel back to the back of the mat and spread out your toes to tone the back of your leg. And lift your left kneecap up towards your left hip to tone the top of your leg. Keep your legs strong in this way, and it actually helps to teach it to be lengthened and strong at the same time. Stay there. Lift your heart. Now, option to bow forward. Again, bowing forward is relative. It might be a very small move. It might be a huge move, depending on how your body feels today. So when you bow, remember the sense of kindness. That you're being kind to your muscles, kind to your bones, kind with your breath. And if you're feeling any kind of pulling right up under your sit bone, make sure you squeeze there very tightly. That's where your hamstring attaches. And we want to keep that attachment very secure, so squeeze tight. Now stretch your heart forward again. Inhale to come back up. Bend your front knee to lunge. Lift your back knee And step forward again into standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Bow over, and of course your bow can be bent kneed. You can have your arms further forward, hands on blocks, any of these. Bow over. And notice if you're more balanced now. Notice if you have a little more range than when you started this practice. It's okay if you don't. We're just noticing with kindness. All right, inhale, stretch your heart halfway forward. Move your blocks out of your way and walk yourself back to table pose, hands and knees. We're coming to pigeon pose. For pigeon pose, step your right foot forward into a lunge here. Then walk your right foot towards the left side of your mat and slowly open your right knee to the right. Then you'll sneak your left knee back a little bit. The aim with pigeon, in this case, is to keep your pelvis pretty level, not to tip it way over to one side. Usually it'll tip towards the front side. So if you're finding that you can't quite keep it level and have your knee down, then what can help is to bring your right foot more back towards your belly and your right knee more forward. And that'll usually make this pose a lot more available for most people. And if this still isn't going well, then switch and come down on your back. Do eye of the needle pose instead, which we did earlier on the blocks. So it should be pretty available to you. So in pigeon pose, same as we've done through the whole practice, squeeze your back knee and your front foot towards each other a little bit to engage the muscles of your legs, your glutes. Lift up in your low belly and either stay upright or bring your forearms down. You can bring your forearms onto a block or onto the floor. The further your arms go down, the further you walk your arms away from your pelvis, the more sensation most people will feel. And it's really sensation along your glutes, your outer leg, your hip, maybe your inner leg some. That's where a lot of people feel it. You might feel it somewhere different. So working with whatever's there for you, send your breath into it. Now slowly walk your hands back under your shoulders, lift yourself back up, and bring your right knee back by your left. Switch sides, take your left leg forward. Walk your left foot towards the right side of your mat and open your left knee to the left. Now I sneak my right knee back so that I can lower down a bit more. But as you may have noticed on the first side, I'm not aiming to get my buttocks down. Instead, I'm aiming for my pelvis to be level. So do what you can to get your pelvis level. And that means right here, the middle of the back of your pelvis, pretty level side to side, not tipped right or left. Push your back knee down and your front foot down, squeeze them towards each other. Lift up your low belly and bring your right hip forward, your left hip back. Stay right there or bring your forearms down onto the block or onto the floor. A lot of times when I teach this in a public class, I see folks drop their heads down. It's a lot of collapse that happens. Resist that. Keep your neck long, and that will help you build some strength in your neck and your shoulders. It also just helps you keep your attention here in the space, even though, yes, this is a very sensation full pose. There's usually a lot that people feel in this pose. All right, walk your hands back under your shoulders. Come back up to your hands and knees. Oh, very good. And now come all the way out onto your belly. You may stack your hands, let your forehead come to the back of your stacked hands. Rest for just a moment. Now come back up onto your forearms. Let's stretch the front of your legs. So bring your left forearm parallel to the top of your mat. Hug your legs close together and bend your right knee. Reach back with your right hand for your right foot. It may be that you just can barely touch your foot. That's great. This is all your work then, is to see what you can do to reach back and grab your foot. And part of this is a shoulder stretch, and that's okay. If you can get your foot, do your best to bring your right hip back down. And if you can get your foot and have your hip down, now start to bend your elbow and bring your foot closer and closer to your right outer hip. Wherever you are, reach back from your right hip to your right knee. So there's this kind of push-pull happening where my hand pulls my foot in, but my knee and my foot push back against it. It's a very dynamic stretch rather than passive. Exhale, release your right leg. Take your right forearm parallel to the top of your mat and bend your left knee. Reach back with your left hand for your left foot. Again, it might be just that you catch your foot. If you can't quite catch, it's okay to just work this action in that direction. It'll come eventually. If you've got your foot, bring your hip back down. If that's going and that's happening, bring your left foot towards the outer edge of your left hip. Reach your left knee towards the back of the room. And push with your hand into your foot, but also push with your foot back into your hand. Make this very dynamic so your leg is working even as it's stretching. Good. Exhale, release that, come back down, forehead to the back of your hands. Feel free to swipe your hips side to side if your low back would like that. Finishing this part of the practice with a little back bend, again, to open your chest. Reach your hands beside you now, in line with the middle of your chest. Put your palms down. Press your toenails down and make your legs firm. Then scoop your tail back and push your pubic bone down. Inhale your shoulders towards your ears and away from the mat, and press down through your hands to lift up into cobra. So now with your legs open, your quads open, all that work, there may be a little more lift you can get in cobra. Move your shoulders back, your heart forward. Take your skull back and up. Then exhale, lower down. Bend your knees, take them under your hips to table pose, and stretch back one more time to downward facing dog. Option of you can have your feet out as wide as your mat, give yourself a little more freedom in your down dog, or step them a little bit closer together. Have a little less freedom, but more challenge, more strength in your downward facing dog. Reach your heels back towards the back of the room and down towards the floor. Reach your legs back. Stretch forward through your arms and hands down into the earth. Lower both knees. Look around for your yoga strap and come onto your back. We'll finish up there. All right, last little bit. You know we have to do it a little more love for your hamstrings. Here we go. Take your right foot into the strap. The ball of your foot goes right into the middle of the strap, and stretch your right leg up. Start with your left knee bent and your left foot on the floor, and then arch your lower back so that your lower back is off the mat. You'll notice that gives a lot more sensation in your right leg. That's fine. It also may be that your right leg is a little lower because of that. That's fine too. But this starts to stabilize your back and keep you in a natural curve in your back. And that natural curve is really helpful for the health of your discs. And again, your spine is taking a beating every time you're running. So we want to keep your discs really healthy. So you can stay here now with your right leg straight, or stretch your left leg out. And we tend to be tight, top of the leg, back of the leg. And so the back of your left leg may not hit the floor, but the aim is to get the back of your left leg to the floor. So Again, arch your lower back until your left leg comes to the floor. Let your right leg lower. Keep your left thigh on the floor and then bring your right leg in a little closer if it's available. As soon as your left thigh comes up, you've lost your low back curve, you're getting too much strain through your pelvis. So it's going to be more beneficial to have your right leg lower and your left leg grounded. It's going to keep you in a natural curve of your spine and actually lengthen your hamstrings better than if you pull way up. All right, I know we've been here a while. Take hold of the strap in your left hand and bring your right leg 2 to 3 inches over to the left. This gets that outer leg where your IT band is. That area can get very tight and can actually pull on your knee over time. So it's really useful to get into this too. Then bring your right leg back up. Release it from the strap, but keep your leg in the air and slowly stretch your right leg out towards the end of your mat and down to the floor. Once it gets to the floor, relax both legs and feel the difference between your two sides. Last one, bend both knees, put your feet on the floor. Bring your left knee in towards your chest and bring the strap around the ball of your left foot. Then stretch your left leg up straight. For most of us, your low back will get flat when you do that. So now tip the top of your pelvis forward and create some curve in your lower back. So on the sides, you may not see it, but right in the middle of my lower back, it's off the floor. You want that. Now make your left leg very straight, keeping your lower back off the floor. Slowly stretch your right leg out. And again, allow your left leg to get as low as you need to get your right thigh flush to the floor. You can even move your right buttocks flesh out to the right to help your right thigh get down. Keep your right thigh down, then bring your left leg maybe a little closer to the ceiling, maybe not. There may not be a lot of range here. That's okay. Send kindness to yourself. Kindness to this leg that's tight and does so much for you. Kindness to your brain who wants it to be different. It's all good. Now hold the strap in just your right hand. Take your left leg 2 to 3 inches to the right. And you may feel sensation on your outer leg or your hip. If you're getting it on this outer leg, that can be your IT band, or really the junction under your IT band, where your thigh muscle and your hamstring muscle come together. Push up into the strap. Bring your left leg back up to the ceiling. Release it from your strap, and then lower your left leg forward and down to the floor, slowly, 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 until your heel hits the floor, and then relax both legs. Take your strap off to the side, out of your way. Bend your knees in one more time, both knees. You might keep your feet flat on the floor, rest your hands on your belly, and welcome some breath here. If you're doing this, put your knees together and your feet wide. If you prefer to curl in a little deeper, bring your knees in towards your chest. Use your hands on your knees. You might choose to rock a little side to side or stay in a more neutral position. And now it's time for Shavasana. So as you feel complete with whatever position you've been in, slowly release your legs back out onto the floor. Set them up to 12 to 18 inches apart from each other. And then let your legs just completely relax. They'll tend to turn out when you do that. Take your arms by your sides, palms up, and close your eyes or soften your gaze. Become aware of your breath as it moves through your whole body. Give yourself this time to integrate the work we've just done and to rest and restore yourself before you head back out. Gently deepen your breath. Slowly move your fingers and your toes. Then stretch and expand your body in the way that feels really good. Bend your knees now and roll over onto your right side. Press your hands into the floor and come back up to sitting. Face towards the screen a moment. You might sit up on a block or a blanket if your hips still feel tight. Rest your hands on your thighs, close your eyes again. Take a moment to say thank you to your own self. Thank you for the kindness you've shown in this practice. Thank you for taking care of this body that does so much for you. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, bow. Bow to your heart. Bow to this magnificent body. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Hope it felt great, and have a great next run. Take care.